them enjoying zero G, and then once they are back down on Earth, we should see those images released.
Now the capsule is going about 65
but it's a very
miles
short
up
trip.
into that. Very short. I was going to say, when you're riding a fast rocket, you get there quick.
At about 350.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, literally, it's an 11-minute trip, right? So they are almost halfway through the trip already.
Jackie, they are having the time of their lives.
So we're getting the narration from the Blue Origin official telling us what she must be seeing or hearing in terms of the crew now experiencing zero G, that kind of iconic moment that so many people dream of. And they'll get to experience that for about 3 minutes. And in the meantime, Tom, it's fascinating and such a feat of technology. That booster rocket that carried them to this place will be landing almost a pinpoint landing so it can be reused again.
It's exactly the same technology in some way, the same idea that SpaceX uses, Elon Musk uses to make SpaceX become a viable, alternative to essentially losing your booster rockets as soon as you use them up. So it will come right back down and land right back down here on Earth. You know, we should also make the point, Savannah, that this is now the 18th mission. The 18th mission for Alan Shepard, the new Shepard, I should say, the new Shepard rocket named after Alan Shepard. The last one had humans on it. This one has humans on it. All the others were test flights.
And our very own Audrey Powers.
Let's bring in Joan Higginbotham, also an astronaut who has spent hundreds of hours in space. And Joan, you were one of the few that could describe how they might be feeling right now, experiencing zero gravity for the first time.
Yeah, thank you, Savannah, for having me on. I just want to say hi to Mike Massimino, my classmate. So if you're up there experiencing zero G, they're probably, I would best say, they're like a kid in a candy store. It's the first time you get to experience it is a real treat. You have no choice but to float up to the top of the cabin wherever you are. And it's just a thrill to be able to do things in a microgravity environment that you never get to do in your everyday life.
And Mike, we'll bring you in here. You can say hi back to your colleague Joan, but also, what is the view like up there? This is a suborbital trip to space, so they're not in space orbit. What might they be seeing out that window?
Well, first, hi, Joni. Great to see you. Yeah, they're seeing some things. You can kind of get an idea by the shots we're seeing. One cool thing is the sky goes dark on you, even though it's the sun's out. When you get above the atmosphere, you look at the stars and around you, and you see a black sky. But looking back down on the Earth, yeah, they're not really that high relative to where the space station is, for example. They're 60 miles up, as Tom explained. You can see some detail, but you also can see, I think, from where they are, some the horizon. The beauty of the Earth, you don't see the borders, so you're seeing things with a much different perspective than anything you can get on Earth or even in an airplane. So it's really an awe-inspiring moment when you unstrap, go to the window, and this spaceship was meant for viewing the Earth with big windows and looking down at our home. It really can be a life-changing experience, and I think it will be for each of them.
And meanwhile, back here on Earth, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, we just witnessed the return to Earth of that booster capsule about 2 miles from where it embarked a few minutes ago.
They nailed the landing right on the money. We had a sonic boom here on the ground, and this is just amazing technology that they're able to bring that rocket booster right back down and nail it right here in the West Texas desert. So that is what's making this economical for companies like Blue Origin, like SpaceX, to be taking people into Earth, into space and back to Earth. And I'm watching now the feed of the space capsule now descending as well. There's a little bit of a lag time before it hits the air, but we are seeing now the space capsule underneath parachutes. It too is now starting to descend down to Earth. So all of this appears to have gone absolutely perfectly so far, as the feed will very quickly now switch over to the spaceship.
So here's the capsule. Our astronauts are aboard, and we can call them astronauts now because they've been to space. And this is, they describe it as a high-speed plunge back to Earth, at least before the parachutes are deployed. And your body has to be able to withstand 5G, 5 times the force of gravity. We'll turn to our astronauts for this. Mike Massimino, I'll start with you. What does that feel like? I mean, that's got to be pretty tough on the body. Some people can get that tunnel vision. Some people pass out. What would you expect?
Well, I think they'll be fine. The way that the spacecraft is designed, they have these seats, you're recumbent, you're laying down. So whatever any G forces you take, you're going to take those in the chest. But that's why it's really important to be strapped back into the seat. And then we talked about getting out and getting back in. You want to be back in your seat and lying down in that seat to protect you from those Gs. It'll be a little uncomfortable. I felt like we took up to 3 Gs on launch, for example. I felt like there's, 3 times your body weight. I felt like there were 3 big dudes sitting on me. That's what it kind of felt like. And then it subsides. But it's interesting because they've been weightless for a little bit. And so whatever G's they take on the way down is going to even be amplified. Because after you float for a little bit and you get used to zero gravity, even a little bit of G feels like a lot.
You see they're about, I would say about 90 seconds or so from making that landing. Joan, what do you imagine is going through their minds right now? I mean, that was a very quick trip.
It was an extremely quick trip, but I still know that they're enamored at what they got to do, and they're still feeling that high from being able to look at our beautiful world from a different vantage point. So even though they're going to be taking on a whole bunch of G's right now, I know their mind is still on what they have just experienced.
Tom, what do we expect as we watch these final moments of their big mission to space? What's the protocol after? They've just touched down there. We see that cloud of dust, so I think they're close to touchdown if they haven't already.
The newest astronauts.
Well, you know what the headline is going to be around the world. Captain Kirk goes to space and comes back and lands safely. So this is a great day for him, a great personal triumph for him. And let's be candid, it's a big and a great day for Blue Origin as well. Now, they will be on the ground for about 22 minutes before they will pull them or help them get out of the capsule. They need to make sure that the entire vehicle is off-gassed, if you will. You get rid of all the potentially dangerous fumes and gases. But this just has gone perfectly. And there was a quote, by the way, on Twitter from William Shatner. And he says the following. I'm going to quote William Shatner's tweet. Quote, "I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, diverting myself in now and then finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me." So I think he's trying to wax poetic. I suspect he actually composed that tweet before he went up, and then he hit the send button. But
I think so.
William Shatner is already tweeting.
I'm being told, and I confess to not knowing this off the top of my head, that it's a quote of Sir Isaac Newton, which of course is poetic in its own right. But yes, it was a pre-programmed tweet that got sent. So we'll have to get the off-the-cuff response from William Shatner and the fellow passengers. One of them is a Blue Origin employee, and then the other 2 are paying customers. And Tom, this isn't a cheap ticket. It's a quick one, but it's not a cheap ticket.
$250,000, we believe, is how much that the 2 paying passengers paid for this, and both of them are successful business entrepreneurs who can afford it. William Shatner was invited to go along. I got to tell you, I think they're paying him, in all honesty, because he's also been asked to do so much media. You got to compensate the guy for his time. So all of this is part of Blue Origin's big public relations push to get the message out about, putting people in space and the commercialization of space, the space tourism business. All of them appear healthy. All of them seem to be able to exit on their own power.
He said, "Hello, astronauts," as he poked his head through the hatch door.
There's Audrey Powers, a big hug from her sister.
Drew Powers, the Vice President of Mission and Flight Operations at Blue Origin, the only Blue Origin employee. And there it is.
Our customer Chris Boshausen, the first full Australian citizen to go to space and back, and Glenn DeVries.
I don't know if you can hear that, Savannah.
Some
He
big
just,
hugs.
William Shatner just said, it's fun. Well, I'll tell you, he